What is going on, guys? Welcome back. My name is Wolfe Glick. I'm the 2016 Pokemon World Champion, and today I'm here to walk you guys through a Pokemon that's gotten a lot of hype and is honestly like one of the most fascinating theoretical Pokemon to look at I've ever seen. Basically, we're looking at a Pokemon called Silvally. And if you don't know anything about Silvally, if you're wondering why it's so cool apart from its awesome design, it has an ability called Arceus system, which changes its type based on the disc that it holds. So it allows Silvally to be 18 different types potentially, and it means that it almost functions as 18 different possible Pokemon because the typing matters so much in competitive Pokemon. And in addition, it also gets a stab attack for any of these types called multi-attack. It's a 90 base power physical move, which is honestly not bad, especially for some of these types that don't have that many physical like stab moves for their types. So yeah, it's super interesting, and it's got a pretty diverse move pool as well. It's definitely lacking some stuff, especially not having egg moves hurts it a lot. But its stats are also really like average, you know, like 95s across the board is like pretty good, except that there are some things definitely holding Silvally back, but I still think it's a really interesting Pokemon, and I'm doing this video in a bit of a different style than I normally do, but I think you guys will be okay. So this is the first set that I came up with. I feel like this is kind of like standard. Where do you want to start when you're looking at Silvally? So it'll get more interesting as we go on in the video, but for now I'd like to start with this. So Protect is standard on VGC. It's really important, especially with a typing like Steel, which is only weak to a few types, Fighting, Fire, and Ground, which means that you can often protect Silvally and eliminate those threats, especially since Fighting is almost non-existent at the moment, apart from Pheromosa. Parting Shot is a really interesting move. You can't use this on Battle Spot right now if you're watching this around December 2nd. You can't use this on Battle Spot because it's glitched in the game and it'll crash the game if you use Z Parting Shot, so they've banned Parting Shot and Memento. But overall, especially if you're testing on Shodan, I really like Parting Shot. I'm using multi-attack even though Silvally gets access to Iron Head because it actually makes a difference in the calcs. And then Ice Beam I have as the last move here. Silvally here kind of intends to be an anti-Tapu Lele Pokemon with Ice Beam for Garchomp, and Ice Beam just in general for not being weak to Intimidate, although the special attack set is not good at all, but just having an access to a decently powered Ice-type special move I think is solid. Parting Shot, it's intended to play like a pivot, so they have Pokemon in the field that you threaten, you can attack them, or you can Parting Shot and get better positioning, and Parting Shot lowers the attack and special attack by 1, and it forces Silvally out. It's kind of like U-Turn, except it lowers, instead of doing like a little bit of damage, it lowers their offensive stats, which is really valuable. So this is just kind of like standard, and Silvally's hard to analyze because, again, there's so many ways in which you can take it. But I just ran some calcs here. This is multi-attack versus non-bulky Tapu Lele. This is 84 HP, 4 defense, and multi-attack, as you can see, always KOs with this spread. Obviously, there may be Tapu Lele that run more, but yeah, I wouldn't necessarily bank on it. Silvally also speed ties Tapu Lele if they're timid max speed, which means they'll be doing even less damage. But as you can see, Psychic is not even a 3-hit KO. I've run some other calcs here. This is versus Garchomp. So as you can see, Ice Beam, while it doesn't KO, it does do a pretty sizable chunk, 75% minimum to Garchomp, which is honestly not insignificant at all. And then lastly, I've calced, just to show you guys how much multi-attack does to Tapu Bulu. I don't anticipate to fight a lot of Woodhammer, but Superpower, I mean. But Woodhammer actually does a lot of damage. But multi-attack still is going to do a decent chunk here. So I'm not going to linger on these calcs because I have a lot of sets to get through, so I'm just going to move on. So next I thought of kind of like more of a sweeping set. So I thought, all right, maybe we've got, what type, like Silvally gets access to Swords Dance, okay? And I was like, all right, what is a good offensive type to pair that with? And I thought about Ghost, because Ghost is super effective on Tapu, Koko, it's neutral versus all the Tapus, it is neutral versus Steel, it's only resisted by Dark, and what else resists Ghost? Normal. Neither of which are super popular at the moment because of the Fairy typing. Well, Dark isn't popular because Fairies are everywhere, and then Normal's never been that popular as far as I'm aware. Oranguru is the big one, so you don't want this thing versus Oranguru or Porygon 2, but you can cover for those. This EV spread, because you're running Flame Charge, I decided to. Oh yeah, Flame Charge is an interesting move. It raises your speed by 1, and so it hits Steel types as well. So this is especially for if you set up a Swords Dance and they're like, okay, now he's threatening, so they try and like protect and switch into something like Tapu Koko, who's faster and can do a lot of damage, especially if you already have damage. You can go for a Flame Charge and then Oko next turn with +2 multi-attack Ghost type. So that's really interesting in my opinion. This is +2 multi-attack versus Tapu Koko. You can see it always KOs Life Orb set, and you can see even their Life Orb on our, this isn't even with our defensive EVs, but they never KO in return. This is non-boosted multi-attack versus max HP Tapu Lele, so you don't want a ton of speed, so you might get outsped by Tapu Lele, but if you, oh, wrong one, sorry. But if They're slower than you, and even if they're max HP, you have a very good chance to OHKO. So that's really impressive in my opinion. Let's do, what is it? Control tab? Nice. And then I just wanted to know how much it does versus Marowak. Obviously, even at +1, this is always going to KO, but even at neutral, you're going to do a sizable chunk with your Ghost-type multi-attack. So you can pair this with, because Marowak is so slow, you can pair this with very easily another Pokemon and pick up the KO. Okay, cool. Oh, and I've also run Flame Charge versus Kartana here, because Kartana is pretty popular at the moment, and even though it's 4 times weak, Flame Charge is not going to be doing a ton, but I think Flame Charge is actually special. Can I check that? It is, right? Yeah, no, it's physical. Oh, my bad. My bad, guys. I did not know it was physical. Yeah, so at +2 you always KO, but even at +1, Kartana's not super threatening. You can see even with Night Slash, it's not doing that much damage. So being able to outspeed Kartana, or if they think they can switch in on you because you're like physical, or they're expecting like a steel move and you hit them with a Flame Charge, it can do a lot of damage. So that's personally why I like Flame Charge, both to outspeed and also to hit Kartana. Not going to be hitting a lot of other things for super effective. And then I was like, man, okay, the real thing holding Silvally back is the fact that it can't hold an item, right? The fact that you don't have any diversity with an item if you choose your type. So I was like, all right, what if we just took, like, bit the bullet and took the normal typing, because Silvally does have a typing without a memory. It's still normal type, so it still does get Stab Double Edge, and Double Edge is a strong move. For those of you who played VGC 2016 and 2015, you know about that. So this is a choice band set. Double Edge is your mains of doing damage. Usioner is also good. Ice Fang is also good. Shadow Claw I just kind of have there as filler because I didn't really find something I liked better, but it's almost exclusively there for Marowak. Iron Head is most of the time equal to or weaker than Shadow Claw or Double Edge, so that's why I chose this. And as you can see with the choice band, Silvally is a different one. Silvally actually does a decent chunk of damage. So this is Double Edge versus Tapu Lele. Always OHKOs if they have 80 HP, so just about as strong. Like, this is like standard, non-super bulky Tapu Lele. Here's, what did I just do? What did I just do? Oh, I didn't do anything. Okay, anyway, this is Ice Fang versus Garchomp. So as you guys saw in this calc, I believe Ice Beam doesn't KO Garchomp. Oh, I have no idea where I was. Okay, Ice Fang always KOs Garchomp, which is really nice, especially because you're not weak to Earthquake anymore, unlike the first 2 sets that I showed you guys. So that's really a huge positive in my opinion. And then this is Double Edge versus Tapu Koko, so you can see that you are almost always KOing with Choice Band Double Edge. So Choice Band Double Edge is actually like very strong. And Silvally's decently faster than the metagame as well, hitting a 161 speed stat. So yeah, that's like kind of why I like Choice Band. Choice Band Double Edge good, Ice Fang good, Shadow Claw good, all this stuff good. And then I was like, all right, what else can we do now that we have an item? Like now, like, and obviously guys, like there's so many sets. You could come up with like multiple sets for every single type. These are just kind of some ideas to get you started. So these are just kind of the first sets that jump to my mind, but there's obviously a lot more exploration to be done. And I was like, all right, all these sets have been kind of offensive, so let's run a bulky set. It gets access to Thunder Wave, it gets access to Snarl. This could also be Parting Shot somewhere on here, and it gets access to Rock Slide, which is like a solid flinching move. So this is your support Silvally. It's actually really bulky with these EVs. Just to give you some context, Tapu Lele Psychic, not resisted, no Assault Vest, 2-hit KOs. And as you can see, I couldn't even do that with Mudsdale, you know? Like, with Protect and Psychic, I'm sorry, with Protect and Leftovers, like, you can easily, not easily, you can take 2 hits from Tapu Lele if they're modest. If they're, like, timid, if you remove their terrain, like, they're not doing any damage at all. But even in the worst case scenario, which is they're Psychic and modest, you can see they're not going to 2-hit KO if you Protect. This doesn't factor in Protect, which is really nice. And yeah, Snarl is also good because you can Thunder Wave something and you can Snarl. This is great to be paired with an Intimidate Pokemon. This is great to help something set up as you lower their stats. Dragon Dance Gyarados would be a good partner for this. I'm not going to jump into a ton of calcs. And as you can see, Tapu Koko Thunderbolt with Life Orb, not 2-hit KOing, like ever. And without Life Orb, or if you remove their terrain, like let's get this a Lychee Berry and let's put this in grassy terrain, you can see they're doing no damage. So this is like, these are some of the strongest attacks in the format, these terrain boosted stab moves, and Silvally with these EVs becomes so bulky that he doesn't even have to worry about them. So that's part of the reason why I like Silvally. Unfortunately, Thunder Wave did get nerfed pretty severely, but I still think it's worthwhile on some teams. So yeah, moving on. This is I wanted to end the video on something more fun. I'm not going to do partners, guys, because I don't feel qualified to give you partners because I don't understand Silvally well enough. Like I think I understand it well enough to feel comfortable giving like these sets, but like just kind of like initial sets and stuff. But to kind of give more in-depth reasoning, I don't want to mislead you. That would be disingenuous of me because it just wouldn't feel right. So I'm not going to give you partners. I'm just going to give you a lot of sets. But this is a set that I really like a lot. So Silvally is one of the few imprisoned users in the format. So basically, the idea here is you go in prison. And you're like, oh, okay, now they can't protect. And then you either go boom, or maybe you go sword stance, and then you go imprison, and then you go boom. And then, to give you some context, you're like, alright, like, that'll probably do some damage with a life orb. Like, yeah, I can see that doing some damage, maybe. To give you some context, this is 210 defense stat, 192 HP with Eviolite. This is an Oko. This Oko's Porygon 2. The sheer power of this thing is ridiculous. And this Oko's Oranguru without a boost if they're not invested. If they only invest like a little bit in defense, they're like, yeah, I don't need defense EVs. Like 12 EVs, max HP, rest in special defense. Like, that's solid. You Oko without boosting. Without boosting, you Oko Oranguru. So, Oranguru, one of the most bulky Pokemon in the format, has the potential at least to be like definitely like one of the more bulkier Pokemon in the format at least, even though its physical defense isn't phenomenal. Is always Okos. So I think that's honestly hilarious. And you know what? Let's just show you guys, since I didn't do this. Okay, so without boosting, always do 71 to 84%. With boosting, this is Torkoal, and I hate Torkoal, so we're gonna KO it. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I thought that set was really fun. Maybe not the most competitively viable set. I think it definitely could like cheese some wins out of people, but not. I wouldn't like it in a best out of 3, for example, because, well, maybe it'd be hard to stop actually. I think it actually has some. I think Explosion Silvally could actually be good, but that's not really the point. Yeah, I don't know. I just thought that was kind of fun, and I wanted to share that with you guys. I'm really sorry for not doing partners, guys, but like I said, I don't feel confident in giving you good advice, so I'm just gonna say, try these sets out, fit them on teams if you have places. Feel free to mess around with the typings. I feel like I've given you a good rundown of some of the moves that I think are like the top choices, so feel free to mix and match. But yeah, I'm not going to give you partners. I hope you understand why. I don't feel qualified at the moment. If I test Silvally more, maybe I'll make an update video with like Silvally version 2 and like how to like the updates, or like midway through the season or something, just to give you guys some more ideas. But this is definitely, I think, a good starting point. So thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I really do hope you enjoyed this video. It was really challenging to make in terms of how I had to think about things, but I hope it was interesting for you and rewarding for you. So yeah, that's it. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to leave a like, and if you want to see more content like this, make sure you subscribe, because there's a lot more coming. I have some ideas for the channel, but this probably isn't the time to talk about them. So thank you again for watching, and I'll see you next time. Peace.